It being 6:05, I'll call to order the meeting of the Carver Redevelopment Authority for June 24th. As is my custom, I'll introduce our members. To my left is Pat Maher. I'm Sharon Clark. To my right is Savory Moore and Joanna Layton and Jim Walsh, the town planners with us. I'm going to take some things out of order with the permission of the authority, and we'll do the urban renewal plan second, and we'll do 94th Street first. Okay. Is that okay?
Yep.
Yes.
And that Jack Williams is here. Jack, would you like to address the board first?
I'd like to introduce myself.
Okay.
Jack Williams, Williams Brothers, and I've made an offer on the 90 Forest Street, and here tonight to discuss it with the board, if we may.
Please. The Redevelopment Authority has been in charge of a small piece of property in North Carver that is alternately known as 94th Street and 0 Main Street. And it's kind of opposite Quickies on the side street. And we have been charged with selling that property for the past several years. And Mr. Williams has expressed an interest and made an offer to which we've accepted for the property, and now we're going to discuss the P&S and the changes that you might be interested in making or some timetables to go with it.
Yes, I'm looking for, as far as the timetable goes, I'm looking for, I need to get a building permit on the property, which entails getting some engineering done, site plan review by the planning board, and things like that. And I'm guesstimating I can do that within 6 months.
Okay.
And so what I'm looking for is to sign the purchase and sale agreement next week, and then start my planning and my engineering, and have my building permit before the end of the year.
Mr. LaFawn, maybe you would know this. If the town still is in possession of the property, is there any liability in having Mr. Williams doing site work, or what are you talking about here?
Well, site work, we would have to do new perk tests.
Okay.
And that's probably and my engineers are insured with workers' comp and liability and everything else. So I don't believe there's going to be a problem, but
It's owned by the Redevelopment Authority ostensibly when you guys find the deed.
Okay, so it's really not a town liability.
Okay.
I would obviously suggest that the town, get copies of all their contractors' insurance policies, et cetera, and make sure the town is indemnified up to a certain amount. Usually it's, 1 million, 5 million, per incident, 5, umbrella. But we can double check those with our insurance company. Now, granted, it's not the same, but I think those general rules would apply in terms of what the RDA would be looking for in terms of indemnification, which I suspect all your contractors have those.
Yes.
Basic limits, so.
I do also as a blanket.
Okay, yeah.
So
I can get you more information on that if you like.
if you could, it just occurred to me that I'm not sure what the work is that you have to do, but or if you even have to pull building permits for perk tests.
No, we'd have to make an appointment with the Board of Health,
Okay.
and he would come out and inspect the site.
Okay. So maybe at the time of P&S, you can have your insurance indemnifications. Is that what we're looking for, or?
Right, you're looking for, well, actually, you wouldn't need workers' comp, because it's not actually that kind of a job. We would want your insurance.
General liability.
The town or RDA name is additionally shown on the policy in certain limits.
And will we ask for some kind of a waiver for him to sign, or is?
Because they don't own the property yet?
because they don't own the property yet.
What is the expected time frame to own the property?
That's what we're going to discuss.
Okay,
But Mr. Williams mentioned 6 months. He didn't want to, the PNS is contingent
right,
on getting a building permit.
right.
So when he gets I don't want to speak for you, but as I understand the changes that we were making, is that when he gets the building permit, then we can close. whether
That's
it's
correct.
4 months to 6 months, but no later than 6 months because of the ZBA variance, which will expire at 6 months from the signing of the PNS.
Okay. Which is in the same time frame that he's
Say,
looking to
we're
provide.
kind of working in the same time frame now because the zoning board, in all their wisdom, said that the extension of the variance, which had expired or was expiring, would take effect upon the signing of the PNS.
Okay, and 6 months down the road.
And then it's good because of Chapter 48, Section 10, it's good for 6
Okay.
months.
So I have a question, several questions. I don't want you to lose the sale, but at the same time, we don't know who owns the property. So where are we with who owns the property? Actually, we're supposed to own it. There was a mix-up during the town meeting, way back when, unfortunately, and the proper documents are not available. Sharon's done great work, I'm sure, and still working towards getting the transfer so the Carver Redevelopment owns the property. So you are going to be working with the Carver Redevelopment, not necessarily the town of Carver.
Right,
Okay,
I kind
that's
of
fine.
misspeak sometimes about the property being town-owned.
If
I-
it were a town property though, and it may, the same concept might apply, it wouldn't be necessarily a waiver or a lease, but, the municipal sector, you could grant what's called a license, which is not like a, alcoholic license, but essentially it's a license to use a piece of property. You're not leasing it, you're not selling it, but for some period of time, you could grant a license, so somebody could be on the property, under particular conditions, and that's usually a limited basis.
Mhm.
So if that type of instrument, is available to a redevelopment authority, I think that would be the appropriate way to go.
Okay.
Well,
Mr. Williams, I think we just want everybody to cover our own bases here.
I understand.
By giving you access to a piece of property that you do not own yet. As far as,
I have some questions.
wait, okay, can I?
Yeah, sure.
Because I might answer some of them. But we do have the paper trail that gives the RDA the authority to, or control of this property. We do have the paper trail. We do have the town meeting vote from 2015 that the treasurer tax collector gave the property to the Board of Selectmen. And then in August of 2015, there was a vote by the Board of Selectmen to give the property to the RDA.
Right.
That was under Jack Hunter, and it was also the same meeting that Jack Hunter resigned. So we think somewhere the paper trail got stalled. But I believe, Jim, and we're working on putting that back all together with KP Law.
So I thought, I was under the impression that Katie had found that, but, because I sent her an email asking about, the whole situation with the deed.
Right.
And then she said, oh, there was a separate conversation, well, I think I was away at the time. And so I thought that problem had been solved. But it sounds like we're not quite there yet with the deed.
Yeah, I haven't seen a copy of the deed drawn up.
Okay.
And then we also don't have the MOU, the Memo of Understanding, which we sent her, I sent her a copy of a deed that's a previous property that the RDA had sold several years ago, and attached to several of these properties that are on record at the registry are this 2-page MOU, which I assumed is some kind of boilerplate someplace that we have. And it's conditions that we're guided by as far as percentages and such as that.
So we're waiting for Katie, what's her last name?
Klein.
Klein.
So we're waiting on Katie Klein to create the deed and to make it recorded?
Well, she can't record it.
No, we're gonna record
We,
it.
we need a paper copy of it, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get that going, so he doesn't lose the sale, but I don't like what Rick is saying. I wanna take ownership of that property in the proper way, and you're there, you're 90-something% there, right? So Katie Klein needs to draw up the deed. You've got all the proof that it was transferred. So she needs to draw up the deed, and somebody has to record it for us on our behalf.
It can actually be recorded at the same time as the sale to Mr. Williams.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that.
Why?
I need to show ownership before I sign anything. I'm sorry.
We can have, okay, all right,
So,
I get it.
I don't want to, drag this on.
Okay.
We need to come back next week to meet, fine, we'll come back next week. Really. But I want the proper things to be done.
Well,
they
the
want-
deed has to be signed by the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
So they have to sign the deed to us. We don't sign it. We're gonna sign the deed to Mr. Williams. But the Board of Selectmen has to sign the deed to us. We can countersign it, but it has to be, it's the board.
It was a transfer of documents. Every time the town meeting transferred ownership to us, I don't ever remember any kind of recording of any deed. It was some sort of a transfer of ownership.
Joanna, I've seen your signature on record at the Registry of Deeds.
You will have my
Yeah,
signature?
yeah.
Oh, okay,
So I know the process.
okay.
But we don't have it for this particular property, and I guess we'll go ahead. I was thinking it wasn't under a huge rush right now, but we'll go ahead and get the deed from Katie.
Yep.
We'll get it in front of the select board at one of their next meetings with the backup copies of the 2 votes that were taken that awarded it, and then it just needs to be signed.
So then we need to sign it after they sign it?
There's a space on the deed that's countersigned by the RDA, so we can sign it too, and then I will trot it right off to the Registry of Deeds.
Then you can do that. And what's the time frame? I just want to make him aware of, if we have to come back, I'm coming back and sign.
He doesn't need to come back.
So
No,
I want him-
I might have a semi-solution.
Go ahead.
If we, to protect everyone, we sign an offer form.
Okay.
That's the pre-purchase and sale agreement.
Mm-hmm.
If this takes a couple of weeks, I can be working and feel confident that we're going to proceed.
Okay.
We can do something like that. I'm just putting it out there.
What's it called?
Offer to purchase.
The offer to,
Oh,
Offer to
the
purchase.
I thought we already did that.
Well, I presented one, but it was not signed.
We didn't sign it?
No.
No,
no.
because the board,
Because we had changes to do it?
well, there's some changes to it, and then it was determined to go and
Okay.
just have
It-
Klein.
It was then that we discovered that we didn't have the paper trail that gave us the authority
Okay.
in front of us, and then we had to do some digging in the,
Okay, we should do that, okay? And we should do that for, I have a check here for 1,000, I'd like you to void that.
I'll void that. I have a check
And
for
if you make for
$5,000.
$5,000, because that's what's on this
Yep.
agreement, and you make it out to the town of Carver, and on the bottom, you purchase and sale, the memo piece, purchase and sale for 90 Forest Street or something like that, and then the town of Carver, the treasurer will hold on to it.
That's fine.
Put it into some kind of an account, non-bearing, that's the way it says on the agreement, so that's the way it's gonna go down. I have no problem with that, I think that's the right way to do it.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
okay, the only thing we might have to check is whether that goes into a town of Carver or an RDA account.
What? No, it doesn't, it says right on the agreement, right here. It says right here, it's gonna go to the town of Carver, purchase and sale. It's all
Okay.
spelled out, I just went through 30-some odd things here, very carefully.
I knew you would, and that's, I was
Do we need to
counting
change
on it.
that?
Excuse me?
We will need to change that if the RDA owns it and is going to be signing it over.
No, the RDA doesn't own it, that's not what this says.
So technically, who owns the property?
It says Carver Redeveloping, have any address hereinafter, call the seller. It already says it.
Okay.
We're fine. We don't have to change that. Further on down, it just defines where that deposit check is going to be staying. It's going to stay with the town of Carver treasurer,
Okay.
okay?
That's fine.
So that's why you have to make that out to the town of Carver.
Okay.
And it's going to be deposited by the treasurer
Mm-hmm.
in a non-bearing interest account, okay?
Yep.
For that purpose.
That's fine.
And I went down to all of these, and I'm carefully gonna go through them all, you can rest assured. But I think that's the proper way to do it. I hope,
The only thing I want to do is clarify whether the check should be to the town of Carver or the Carver Redevelopment Authority.
how can you say that? It says it right in the purchase and sale
Well,
agreement.
we can fix that.
Why should you go to the redevelopment?
Because we technically own the property, but the deed and the memo of understanding has been lost. It never made it to record. Mr. Walsh can't find it in his records. It was under Jack Hunter, and we've had two other planners since him, Marlene McCullum and Stephen Cole. Mr. Sinclair said that he didn't have it, wasn't tucked away anywhere. I don't know that it was created after that meeting of August 2015, or if it just got sidestepped. So we have the votes that say we own it, but we don't have the deed that has to be signed by the select board.
I don't understand why you have, you don't want the town of Carver to hold the escrow check. Because, and you have to
I think it's a difference without a distinction, or whichever way you say that. First off, I want to,
We'll
find this out.
Let me say two things. First of all, normally a real estate agent would hold on to that, so we don't have that issue. So right now, Catherine Klein is the intermediary. She's the agent/lawyer, okay? She wrote up this very extensive commercial purchase and sale agreement, whom I'm sure she's very in tune to doing it. I don't know if she knows our case, but this is how she did it. I don't have an objection to that, and I'll tell you why. That check's gonna be deposited into an account. It's not gonna have a date on that check. It's not gonna sit around anywhere here. We in Carver, we don't have a non-bearing interest account other than our own checking account. So we don't have the right to really do that. I don't think, maybe Mr. Maha can talk about that, but we really don't have the right to do that. The town of Carver would accept that check, put it into a non-bearing account. That means the check would get cashed. It would sit in a non-bearing account for X amount of days and so forth and so on. At the closing, that would be taken off. They would readjust that on the sale of the document and so forth and so on. And that's how that should go down.
Since I wasn't on the board at any time when they sold property, do you remember Savory?
I don't think I was either.
Yeah. I mean, the last sales of property were 2015, 2016.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was all, everything was held by the real estate agent, as a real estate agent would be doing on our case, right? The person who's the real estate agent works with the seller, performs the necessary legal paperwork, accepts the check from the, as a deposit and so forth and so on. The seller, not the seller, the buyer signs the P&S, the intent. We don't even touch any of that stuff at this point. It's all done by the real estate agent until the final legal goes, and then we, as the Carver Redevelopment, got involved. In fact, I haven't said it yet, but it says that you're gonna pay the taxes, the back taxes. We never had that. We did never have that before. We paid the taxes out of our own, whatever the number was, we created a check back to the town of
Exactly,
Carver.
and that's how that
But
would
not
work.
here. That says that they're gonna pay the taxes. So if you have a purchase and sale agreement that we're gonna abide by and sign, then you have to do what it says. Unless you go back to the lawyer and make your changes. Am I putting you in a spot?
No, I'm thinking it through.
I think there's things that need to be asked of greater legal minds than all of us. But it's what my concern is this. I know what the agreement says, okay? Once again, if the town doesn't own the property, the town accepts money for what? And then how does the town, without some form of appropriation, transfer funds to the RDA? There has to be some mechanism in municipal finance to allow that to happen. I don't know what that mechanism is. I have to find that out. You know, it's a little bit awkward.
Yeah, it's very awkward.
You know, for the town to accept money for a property that it doesn't own, I mean, that'd be great. I'm sure we could do that all the time. But
Well-
again, then those funds have to get to where they belong, and there's gotta be a legal mechanism to do that.
But she's
Under
used,
Mass General Law, that agreement with that instrument, says what it says, but there still has to be some mechanism in municipal finance law that allows money to go from a governmental agency to, a municipal agency to a non-municipal agency. It's a third party.
Mhm.
The RDA is not the town of Carver.
Right.
So that's a legal question. How do we do that? I mean, there's gotta be a way to do it, but what's the appropriate mechanism to get money from here to here to here?
well, I would ask, Katie Klein
Yep.
has been the lawyer all along from the get-go, spoken with Sharon as well as Jim Walsh. It's not that she doesn't understand what she's done. And she's not here to talk about it, and so,
I mean, Ms. Klein knew that this was tax title property, and because her last deed of record is the tax lien foreclosure. So she knows that it's tax title property, and maybe that's why she put in the back taxes. Upon the sale and disposal of this property by the RDA, we pay, out of the proceeds, we pay back the town everything that was owed.
we did.
We will.
Well, this document has to be, somebody has to speak to her.
She's on vacation.
If you could just outline what you want to be the case, what's the end game? And then, Jim or me and Jim and the chair, we can ask and get the blueprint for how we get from here to here. As long as you're clear on what you want to achieve, we'll figure out how to.
The end game is to sell this property.
Yes, exactly.
You can be a little more detailed.
Yeah, I got it in the packet, didn't I? Didn't we get this in the packet, Jim? How did I get it?
I
Maybe from you?
I sent them to you.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe you did.
All right, so that looks different than the one we have
It does?
today. See? Can you take a look at yours?
Sharon, is that, what just came out of my mouth, is that a direction?
That makes perfect sense.
Oh, yeah.
In that, Mr. Williams had mentioned to me that he wanted to make this, we wanted to sign it by the end of June to make the 6-month period the end of 2021. That we have a couple of days, although I believe, is Ms. Klein on vacation right now?
Right, she'll be back, I believe, next week.
Next week, okay. So that, if we format our questions, and maybe I can meet with Jim and maybe you, with Mr. LaFond, and we can just format our questions. As far as, I want to clarify exactly where the deposit check in the agreement says it will go.
Okay, that's fine.
And who you should make it out to. That needs to be clarified, because I was under the impression it goes into an RDA account. And then we'll clarify, maybe take out that section on the back taxes, and I'll talk to her about that too.
What number is that?
Back taxes, let me
8.
see.
For 8.
Number 8, yeah.
Payment in lieu of taxes shall be paid in accordance with.
The other thing too, can I start to add something?
Let me, 1 second. I'm just going to ask Mr. Williams if he has anything else he wants to add before he just starts answering questions.
I don't think so.
Okay, but I spoke the time frame correctly.
Yes,
We want end of June, I think that's next week sometime.
that's correct, yeah.
And then we'll do the 6 months, because at the time of the signing, the variance extension will take effect.
clock
And
is
that gives you
ticking.
6 months.
Yep, that's fine, that's
Okay.
good, yes.
That will work? Okay.
Yep.
And then we'll talk about the indemnity. I'll talk to you about that later.
Okay.
Ms. Layton, the floor is yours.
All right. First of all, we already talked about, we need to determine ownership, so we already gone through that. That was one of my things, and actually, it should be recorded. Carver Redevelopment owns it, we'll say, assume. That should be recorded as well,
Correct,
so you have to know that. The time frame, it was 6 months, that would have been December 24th, and that can be pushed down a little bit.
yes,
Not a problem. She's gonna go through and find out the deposit, whom to make it out to.
okay,
It should be made out for the 5,000, if you will.
Yes.
What it says here on the purchase and sale
Correct.
agreement. She's going, in the past, when I've been working, commercial or otherwise, we always have a letter from the bank. Two things happen. First of all, somebody says, I got cash. Oh, really? Great. Well, then you go to the bank and show us from the bank that you have the cash and it's sitting in what account and so forth. That's number one. Number two, oh yeah, I have a mortgage, no problem. Oh, really? Well, you have to be qualified. What did the mortgage say you can, So I would ask you that we have a proof of funds, some sort of a letter. I don't know how you,
I can give you a bank statement,
a bank statement that would show that that amount of money is available and so
Yes.
forth and so on?
yes,
Okay, so that would be something that we would want. And of course,
Jim,
now
did-
we're gonna clear up the taxes, because it says here that this will, in addition, will pay for the back taxes, which I don't think you know, Sharon, yet? You don't know what the taxes are?
I know at the time, I believe at the time of the tax lien foreclosure, the amount that is owed back to the town, I think is $48,000.
Ooh.
It hasn't been accruing taxes
Oh,
since it's been owned by the town of Carver and then the RDA.
right, okay. Well, that's something you really have to get anyway, so that, along with getting this title thing done, you really need to get Kathy, what's her name? Kathy,
Okay.
Katie Klein.
no.
No, Kathy Kay.
We're the treasurer tax
Kathy
collector.
Kay, get from her something in writing that
Okay.
says exactly what the taxes are gonna be for that.
That's not over and above, right?
No.
Say what? Okay.
No, it's what's paid.
As far as the
out of
deposit, she's
proceeds.
gonna find out, it should really go in the town of Carver. Like I say, if it was a real estate agent, that wouldn't be our issue, that they would put it in their proper accounts and hold on to that for us.
I understand completely.
We just don't have that.
Yeah, you don't want to set up a separate
No.
non-bearing account, so,
No.
yeah.
No, not at all. So it has to probably be the town.
If a deposit check were to be, if we were going through a real estate agent and a deposit check was given to them, who would that check be made out to?
Probably to the Carver Redevelopment, but it would probably end up into their own accounts.
It would probably be made out to the real estate agent,
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
and
that would be-
then on the bottom line, it would say, you know.
the memo
yeah,
would say
Memo would
for-
say for the property.
Yeah,
They have set up escrow accounts.
yeah,
All right, because what this says, number 14, is all deposits shall be held by the treasurer of the town of Carver as escrow agent.
Yes. That would be normal.
okay. So we
I
don't
wouldn't
to
have a
resolve
problem with that.
issue?
Escrow
I thi-
agent would be normal, or the town of Carver?
I think an
Well,
escrow
town of-
agent is normal, but we have to double check whether it can be the town of Carver.
Right.
I
Okay,
think the treasurer tax collector would appreciate if we checked with them first. So I'll take care of that.
Okay, all right, I mean, this is kind of
that's a good catch.
at a level
Yeah.
I'm not used to.
So the, number 25, the closing, that I'm saying it should be at the attorney's office? Or it could be here too, but
It
most.
could be at the
Attorney-
registry of deeds
Yeah, but
also.
they're so unpredictable, you never know because of COVID.
I
You
mean,
don't wanna.
we can make that adjustment at the time.
So that's, could be it could be the attorney's office or right here in that little room with the attorney, obviously, and the other people present, so.
So that just means, or a location acceptable.
To be determined.
To be, yeah, so that's easy enough.
Right. And if you change this paperwork, Joanna Layton would only be an acting treasurer. I'm not the treasurer.
Where am I going?
Last page.
Signature page.
Oh, okay, well, that's, we can handle that.
Okay. The other thing too, I have, we're losing our building inspector, and we're supposed to be getting a new one. Is all that coming into play? The new building inspector, when do you have?
Well,
think-
we have the current one until the new one's on board,
Okay,
and that may be sooner than later,
okay.
but we don't have quite a time frame yet. The position's been posted. I think there's a deadline in 2 weeks.
Well, that's something he would probably have to know, if you're gonna.
Well, he
approach-
won't, Mr. Williams shouldn't be to building permit until,
I'm 3 months out.
yeah, I was gonna say, if everything went perfectly, September maybe, so, yeah,
So it has to go, it has to get approved by the planning board first, or a site plan
Right.
review.
Right.
Then, once that's been, taken care of, then, you would go in and get the building.
And whoever the building inspector is, that's what it is.
When does the building inspector come in?
We don't know.
we don't know yet.
What?
We don't know.
No, I mean, it is, this whole process, he
So-
said
Oh.
site plan review.
Right, so the
Planning board.
Right, does site plan review, it gets approved, and then, the developer then goes and takes the necessary steps to go and get the building permit.
Okay.
So he's kind of doing, he's trying to do some preliminary due diligence by trying to get some, what do you call them, perks on the property,
Correct.
Right,
and then, that provides information.
Okay.
And then by the time he gets to the planning board, he'll have a good feel. He'll have his development plans based on,
Okay.
perk tests, where the septic's gonna go, where the well's gonna go.
Well, there's already a well on there
Right,
anyway,
but they may.
There is a well, yes.
and I'm sure it's pretty good.
And based on where the building's gonna be placed, that might affect, the ability to use
Yeah,
that
well, I
well.
would think so, too. I don't know those things.
So there's a whole number of things that,
Okay.
you know.
I was just concerned, building inspector, we're gonna need one too. Gee, that's
No, no,
why I'm
they-
concerned.
we will not be left without one.
Well, maybe Sharon, you should sit on the interview of the new building inspector. You need another job.
I could, yeah, I've got a free afternoon somewhere. so.
You just need Jim.
It depends on how they put together, if there's a committee to interview. I can certainly consider that, but
Well, yeah.
that's not an agenda item right now.
Okay, that's pretty much all what I have to say.
Savory, do you have any particular questions that you want to go over?
No, I really don't. I just, this has been on the agenda every meeting I've ever been at. And it would just be nice to have it go.
Pat?
I'm good.
Okay, I think what I'm hearing here, Mr. Williams, is that we'd like to have some questions answered and maybe tweak this a little bit, just either between the town of Carver holding the check or the redevelopment authority holding the check. Change the language on where the closing might take place. I might like to put the Carver Town Hall as a possibility, so that we should have those questions answered and ready to sign next week.
Great.
And would that be amenable to you?
Yes.
Do you have any other questions for the board?
Also, a letter, he said he could provide the proof of the funds, that's.
Yes, he knows what he has to do.
What
You have
about-
your list?
What about the ownership issue?
I'll call, well,
Because that's board selection, right? We don't
That's
need-
board-
We don't need the details, so.
Jim, did I submit a checking statement to you
Jim,
Did you?
on the offer?
Jim, here's the check. that you-
We have a check, and we have the offer.
what, the bank statement that
Yeah.
you wanted?
I thought I may have submitted, no? Okay.
What was that, Savory?
I was just wondering if we had.
Oh, the proof of ownership?
Yeah, we don't need that before we sign the PNS, correct?
We'll sign the PNS based on the vote, and if you want to attach the two votes that we have as proof of ownership at the time, then it might take, I mean, Ms. Klein's out of the office right now, and I don't want to start with anybody else. So Jim and I will talk to her the first of next
Yeah,
week.
can you run that by her to make sure
Yeah.
that?
Well, I think if I go back, buried down through our emails, Jim,
It's in there,
it's
right.
in there somewhere, but it wasn't, it was a draft of the potential deed, so, because she had some questions about the size of the lot and the references made, which I think I cleared all those up for her.
The select board meets July 6th.
Oh, cool, okay.
And number 3 is the title deed. If you read that, it said premises are to be conveyed by a quitclaim deed to the buyer by written notice to seller, written notice.
Is your PNS the written notice?
Yeah,
I don't know, I gotta ask her about that. Usually we have a deed.
but we'll have one.
We'll get
I
one.
think, yeah, I thought she had resolved that and talked to you about it.
Yeah,
But she was we gave her the information, so I think it's,
I think I was focused on trying to prove that we actually owned it, which we did.
yeah.
And then we were going into the PNS. And I was thinking that we just needed to have the deed by the time we signed his.
Okay, maybe
Um,
yeah.
But,
Now we just need to talk to her Monday
right,
and see if she can put a deed together and then make the changes.
right. And then if the select board is meeting on July 6th, then maybe it can be ready to have them sign it by then. So that's 2 weeks. But I think Ms. Layton has a good point that we should have the deed, get it on record. As far as the MOU, that's something Jim might have. I mean, I have boilerplate copies that we used on other ones.
That's a separate issue. The MOU is a separate issue from,
Well, that's separate
transaction.
from him, but it's pertinent to.
It's pertinent to the property.
yes,
To
exactly.
the property and to the select board.
That's right.
Right.
So we probably want to have an MOU and based on the previous one.
Okay, I'll
Maybe
circulate.
she should rewrite it and have them sign it.
Well, I'll circulate the ones that I found on record that are before 3 of us, actually 4, if Paul were here, came on. Only you, Miss Layton, has seen these. So that if there's anything in there that we want to think about changing for this particular piece of property, look it over. I think they were pretty standard. It said that 10% goes back to the RDA, a certain percentage goes here, as far as what the disposition of the properties upon sale was. But I will get those out to you in the next day or two. Look them over because I'd like to have this all wrapped up by at least the 6th.
The end of June.
Well, I think we can sign the PNS by the end of June with Mr. Williams, but July 6th will be our meeting, hopefully with the select board, and they can sign what they need to sign, but they would also want to see the MOU at the time.
Okay. Okay.
Any questions from anybody else? Mr. Williams, any
No,
questions?
I'm all set.
You can either reach me through Jim, or he can give you my email if you have any other particular questions, and
Okay.
we'll work up a time for next week, okay?
Great, thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks for
much,
coming
have a
in.
great night.
It is. Like herding cats with a little feather duster, trying to pull in all these multiple working pieces. But we have an end date,
Yes.
or it was several of them. Let's see, if we can move on to our previous agenda item of the urban renewal plan. Savory, Jim Walsh, and I were part of the walkthrough on Saturday. And I believe you're going to try and go this Saturday?
I'm gonna go this Saturday.
And
I'm
Joanna,
going this Saturday.
you're going to go this Saturday?
At 9 o'clock?
It's 9 o'clock, and just meet at the gate. And then they
Yeah.
drive, you're basically going to go out to
Okay.
the working trailer that's there. George McLaughlin gave us the walkthrough. I hadn't been out in the site in a couple of years, at least a year and a half. So I was really impressed with the plan, and it kind of felt good to stand out there in the middle of it and see, and now picture, he can give you some points of where the building that they're considering would be, and just how far away it was from everything, and certain other sections. So I was really happy with the walkthrough. He very nicely provided coffee and donuts, which I thought was a huge perk.
Did other people come beside?
Yes, Eric Muller was there from the Board of Health. Bruce Mackey and Ellen Sordillo and Connie Shea were there from the Planning Board. Jim Walsh was there.
I think that was it.
Who am I missing?
Richard Dion.
Matt, was that it?
Oh, his little bike, Pete.
Pete, yep.
Pete. He was the guy, and I've already heard from him twice.
Who's Steve?
Pete is
Pete?
with Bob Delholme's outfit with
Yeah.
Carver,
Okay.
and just can't remember his last name.
I don't remember. He was just Pete, but he was rapid fire taking notes. Had a list of things to look up and to do. I did hear back from him
This Saturday.
for this Saturday.
Oh, for this set, oh, good. I'm going to ask questions.
Mr. McLaughlin will not be there, so it'll be Bob, whom we all know.
Oh, okay. Oh, so George was there, not?
George was here this past Saturday.
Oh, then
and
Bob Delholme will be coming?
Yeah, Mr. McLaughlin has a wedding to go to.
Okay, good.
And there is some talk about, talking to them about scheduling a date for an open public.
Yeah, that would,
And we also talked about some more ways to get the information out to the public, and we kind of, talked about either, a video tour or something that could be on Area 58 in order to get more public, more familiar. If they can't walk out to the site, bring the site to them on, Area 58 or something like that,
Oh.
so.
Like a drone to fly over.
Oh, a drone.
Was that?
Ooh, a drone.
who had the drone? Who?
Well, we don't have anyone who has a drone, but maybe part of the.
Oh, maybe
Doing a video.
Area 58, they might have
I
one.
think Pete had a drone.
I think Area 58.
Yeah.
Who?
I'm sure.
Hill would certainly have it.
They have drones, probably Texas size.
So that's really good.
But that's a good idea too.
That's a good idea, because that kind of.
And I'll talk to Rich Goulart at Area
Yeah.
58, and we'll try to put that together, maybe, I'm thinking August to start running in September
Yeah.
as we lead up to.
Like I said to you, when I did that PSA when we were losing all the homes here, I just wrote up all these, I was going to interview, say you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote all this up, and I had a copy to you. And Rich was in, and he photoed me and you, but when he edited it, he cut me out, which was beautiful, because now it was the dialogue, just
Right.
you flowing and talking, all, it really, really worked out well. So, and they did a real good job on it.
I think they'll do a good job when I talk to them about what we want, and then they'll work with,
Yeah.
maybe they have a drone.
Yeah. I don't know.
But then we can work in getting maybe a 10-minute history of the property, maybe some old pictures or something to
Right. Yeah.
get the idea of what this property is, because we realized as we stood out in the middle of this big empty, Route 44 is about the only way you can see it, and it's pretty far away.
Yeah, when you're coming off that ramp. 'cause
And
I
it's a
looked
ramp,
over there.
and we thought we might be 30 feet or so even down from the buildup of the highway. And, there's going to be traffic concerns that we're going to have to be brought up and worked on. So we're starting the dialogues, and Mr. Walsh, are you raising your hand?
I am. I just, Catherine Gallerani is here from the Carver Reporter, and she was inquiring whether she could attend the site walk on Saturday, before the meeting.
Yeah,
Oh, I don't see why not.
yeah, why not?
Yeah.
That's fine.
It's fine. It's at 9:00, and it's, you know where Brewery 44 is? You go down that side road, a couple of 100 feet.
Yeah, there's a curve and then
There's a curve, and
Right behind the old
Sign
Shaw's.
that says Charter on it.
yeah, there'll be a sign that kind of leads you to you'll take a left, and then there'll be Pete or someone will greet you and
Can
tell
you
you.
go
where to
around the gate? Can you go?
You go through the gate.
Oh, through the gate? You're gonna open up the gate?
The gate was open, so go through
So
the gate.
you drove your cars through?
Yeah, you drove your cars right
Oh,
into it and
okay.
parked right into it,
Oh, okay.
and gathered at the trailer
The
that they
station
have
where
out
they
there.
used to do all the weighing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The way
Ah, okay.
trailer.
I've been there a couple times.
Yeah,
So have I.
but it's at 9:00, so, so get there a few minutes before to introduce yourself around, so. And I believe Chief Weston was supposed to be going to this
I
one.
think the fire department, so.
And
Yeah.
Chief Dufley is also going.
Is going?
Too.
Yeah, because I saw him after I went to the COA open house after
Mhm.
our site visit, and they were both there. And both, I mentioned that I had come from there, and they said they were both going this week.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
so,
Let's-
and I may or may not be there. I believe Mr. LaFond is going as well.
I am going to be there.
Oh, you are?
I will be
You gonna come?
there.
Oh, great.
I was there last week, but I'll go
Yeah.
again.
Oh, good. I thought you didn't want to
I
go.
was under the impression that you didn't need to see that anymore.
Well,
So-
I wanted to see the other people.
Okay,
I
oh,
wanted
good
to be-
point.
I wanted
He wants to be-
So that's great. So when we come to do, an interview with these people, Chief Dufley, the fire chief, et cetera, they've been there, they know, and then by that time they can determine their
I think it was
feelings.
important for the planning board to see it, because they'll be a big part of it. Members of the North Carver Water District were going to be there, but they had had a meeting with them earlier that week and said that they felt that they knew the property and they'd be getting their own introduction to the property themselves. So they would not be there last week.
Maybe, did they say anything about this week?
No, they felt they did not need to go.
Oh, okay,
I think it was, I don't want to say who the email was from in case I get
Yeah.
the name wrong.
okay.
Who's
But-
expected to be here other than the two chiefs? Is it the select board members this week, or?
But I also thought-
Mark Townsend was going to try to come, and he has a conflict.
Oh, none of the select board have, Sarah Ewens wasn't there?
She wasn't there. They were all down at the
COA.
COA
Oh, yeah.
opening.
Oh.
So I would guess, but you know what? I'll reach out again, or maybe we'll just shoot a quick email
Do
to.
you have any other RSVPs?
The one I got was from the, and I thought it was gonna be the chief and the deputy and assistant deputy coming
Okay.
on Saturday.
Oh, okay, fire.
Right, the
Mm-hmm.
fire trio.
Oh, good.
Okay.
And, no other, not sure. We had two members of the planning board weren't at the last one, so I never really got a response back from them if they were.
Oh, okay, that would be Mr. Gasky.
And Kevin.
Yeah, Mr.
Oh, and
Gasky,
Kevin.
Mr. Dion,
And
Yeah.
Rob.
Ellen Sedillo. Mr. Gasky is the alternate on the planning board.
Oh, okay,
He generally makes most of the site visits, so.
okay. Maybe I'll just try and shoot a reminder out this week, or tomorrow, tomorrow. Is there anything else that's come up on this?
For the site walk?
Yeah, not the sidewalk, but the, just in the URP in general.
Well, we did meet with Mr. Rich, who's the owner of
Oh, the
Carver, I've got the actual.
advanced,
Advanced Acquisitions Carver.
Oh, the
LLC.
old Shaw's?
Is that what it is? The
Yeah.
Silo
No,
Marketplace?
Silo
Yeah.
Marketplace.
No, it's
I
Silo
call it the old
Marketplace.
Shaw's, isn't
No,
it?
Silo.
No, silo,
Oh, the one where Aubuchon's is?
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and the property.
That's
behind.
where the drain is gonna be?
Mhm.
Oh, I had it, you going all the way down.
Yeah, because that map.
Oh.
That map you had to spin
See, I
around.
never, my brain got so confused, it never
Yeah.
really straightened
Yeah,
itself
that-
out,
before the
sorry.
map was upside down.
Is it?
North
Yeah,
was
I know
south.
you came back in to tell us about the
Yeah.
business upside down.
So we had a representative from VHB there who kind of helped explain where what was gonna be done, and the amount of area. And then, no other questions, and then afterwards, Mr. Rich wanted to speak to me privately, and said, well, he didn't necessarily want monetary compensation, but he has this development project that hasn't quite developed yet, but, wanted maybe some consideration in the future. And I said, well, what is it you're looking for? He didn't have anything specific, so,
Is it for that site?
well, for his site, so his
Like the
property.
marketplace site?
Behind it.
Right, so he has-
This is the property behind.
There's more land than.
Oh, there's more behind, yeah.
Right, he has some
okay.
land, yeah, but kind of behind it, but, it's mostly wetlands. And then on the other,
Where Dunkin' Donuts
kind of where
is?
Dunkin' Donuts is sort of a area there where there
Mm.
could be more land
Yeah.
that he would consider, redeveloping. So, we left it that, one of his other concerns was that he carves out a easement area that somehow that would affect either kind of wetlands replication or parking in the future if he used to do development, because you have to carve out, when you're developing, the area that, any easements or anything like that, so, he didn't wanna do anything permanent, but he said he'd be willing to do a temporary type of easement. And, so I talked to Wayne Amico, who's the chief
Mhm.
engineer for the project. And so when I got back, I had a phone conversation with him, I explained what was going on. And so we said, okay, well, part of the plan was to add a water connection near his property. And, explained that, that would be his compensation. He's gonna get a dead-end road that had enough room for tractor trailers to pull up and then back into, like behind the Aubuchon. There's gonna be additional landscaping around there to, beautify the area. And then, this, extra water connection that would be made available. So, when I talked to, Mr. Rich, we said, okay, well, do you want the water connection? He said, no, I don't want the water connection. So, that would have been the extra value, the compensation that he was looking for, but he didn't want to do that. So VHB is going to take that water connection out and then plan it so that it's only, I don't know how to describe it, but so that they don't need the permanent easement, and they'll just need a temporary easement.
They can redesign the water flow to not have to go there. That was the easiest solution.
Oh, okay,
Right.
Oh, so they're gonna redesign it so it's not going there?
Yes.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they already had that as a plan B.
Right.
Before we met with Mr. Rich.
Right. Still go through it, but they won't do the extent that they originally were planning. So,
So do we have to, does the town have to have or the owners have to have a temporary construction easement?
Yeah,
right,
and
so,
Randy-
yeah, Wayne Amico sent me those, so next week I have to send them out to Mr. Rich and see if he'll.
He said he would do that.
Do a temporary construction, okay.
How did you guys make out with procurement? Weren't you supposed to go to it was with you, Pat Maha? You were gonna talk with Rick?
Well, we got a legal opinion on it, and the Redevelopment Authority does have to come under Chapter 30B procurement. However, there are some, doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna be a formalized bid process. And Rick is gonna help us through this a little bit, but the way I understood the response was, if this amount of, see, my question to him and the legal counsel was, does the Redevelopment Authority have to follow the 30B procurement law when the funds are not town funds? And that was my question.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer to that is yes. That's, the short version. The answer is yes. However, if the funds are gifted in an appropriate writing as a gift, then the formalized bidding process does not have to take place. Now, how that happens seems to me to be relatively simple, but it's gotta be defined. So there's gotta be a writing. It would just be probably a one-page document and so forth. So that would then say that if we were to look for consultants, say, that you could do so in a more informal basis, as we talked about, rather than a formalized bid process.
Okay.
As with, which would be 30B required. This is an exception to using that process. But the key to the whole thing is if in fact this amount of money is identified as a gift, which seems to be relatively simple procedure.
And is that relatively common if we hire a consultant for the benefit of the project for the town side, but Hillwood's paying for that? Are you saying that the amount of money that they give us to pay the consultant so that we in the town have no, we're not expending any funds for help that we need on their project, is a gift?
Yeah, now the details would need to be worked out, but I don't see it as overly difficult. I think it's a pretty simple process. You've just got a document that says this is a gift and it's identified, this is a gift.
Is it a dedicated gift?
I'm not sure what that term means.
Does it mean, here's the money, but you can only use it for this?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get a gift to hire a consultant,
Okay.
and you're gonna get a gift to do something else maybe, and you're gonna
Okay.
get a gift to do something else maybe. But what it does is it precludes the redevelopment authority from having to go through the formalized 30B bid process,
Okay.
which is just, that's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 30B, I've done it for, many, many years. And it's not a big deal, but this just makes it a little bit easier.
So I have a question for Pat. Pat, going through the bid process, when the bids come in, you're not obliged to take the lowest. You can actually take the one you want. Is that not gonna, would that not happen?
You're really not even gonna ask for bids. You're just gonna take, one of the things about the bid process and low bid.
Oh,
Okay, and there are little misconceptions here about that. Low bid is not a bad thing. Usually when there's a problem with low bid, it's because the specs were not written properly. The specs are the key to any bid process.
okay.
So if you do a bid and it's the under 30B, and what that would do is require you to offer the contract to the vendor that meets or exceeds your specifications at the lowest price. And the key there is your specifications. And the better they're written and the more defined they are, the better your bid is. And there's not, and low bids are good as long as your specs are good. Things that I've seen over many years, not that necessarily that I was involved in, but colleagues and so forth that are involved, municipalities, is if your specs aren't good, your project may not be good.
Well, when I was on the building, I was just curious, because when I was on the building committee, it was well-written, and Mr. Washburn was a really son of a gun. And we got some bids in, and the way it was written, they alternated some of the material and it was inferior, tossed it right out.
Well,
So I'm just saying, I like the gift better. It sounds like it's an easier path
well,
to go through.
it just means you don't have to go through the formal bid process.
Yeah, that's right,
It doesn't mean you're gonna get a better result.
right.
The key to that is, what are we asking for? How are we asking it? And what are the criteria that we are going to have potential, and we'll just use the consultant example. What are the criteria that the consultant is supposed to meet?
Right,
And then you put that out, everybody's got the same document, here's your specifications, 1 to 10. And you get your replies and you get your pricing. But that doesn't mean that you can't go and do a little negotiating. In 30B, you can't.
right.
That's it. You put out a bid, you get your responses, and you've got to offer it to the low bidder.
Right,
In this environment, you write out your specs, you put out your request, you get some answers, you can negotiate that further.
okay, I like that one,
Yeah.
okay. We'll talk more on that.
Who was it that you spoke to that gave you this answer about gifting?
Well, it was Rick that talked to the attorney's office.
Okay.
So it could have been either Greg Corbo or Amy.
No, the attorney's office.
Yeah, yeah.
It was either
okay.
Greg, I'm trying, or Amy.
It was-
maybe.
No, I'm just wondering if there's a simpler way of, not even, that we don't hire it and say this was a gift from the developer, that we tell the developer who we want them to hire,
Right,
and they hire them. We're not involved at all. There's no money. Hillwood or 44 pays the consultant.
Yeah, but the
Our
consultant,
choice.
the consultant basically is working for us.
But the consultant's working for us.
And
the
I think-
consultant is-
I think we need to have that direct relationship. The way I understood is they're gonna kind of be our watchdog.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. So they have to report to us. We have to, I think,
Can we somehow find out what North Andover did?
Sure. And I don't believe I copied you on to, I know I sent it to Pat, the opinion from council, so I'll send that on to you.
Okay, because I think we're making this more difficult than it needs to
Well,
be.
North Andover did it as a town project, I believe. So they didn't have a redevelopment authority involved.
Okay.
So we kind of have to step outside just ever so slightly from town, regular municipal
well, I think,
procurement or,
I think it's a relatively simple process. It's simpler than a bidding process. But I think that there has got to be, if we're hiring a consultant for the benefit of ourselves, and they're working for us, then I think that we have to do the bid and we have to pay them.
right,
Yeah,
but we get the money from them.
we get the money from them.
a
They
gift.
gift us the money,
It's a gift.
we pay the consultant.
Right. I think it's similar to the accounts that you have now set up for Route 44, when, when we needed money for.
yes, it goes down to a certain level and they have to
Right,
put in some.
when
money.
we needed-
We started with $40,000.
But when they needed, when we needed to have appraisals.
That's right.
For
They
some
would
of the
beef it up
properties.
if we needed them, yeah.
Proposal was
Yep.
approved.
Right,
Then they sent us the check, the
right.
the funds to pay for it, and then did the work, and then we paid it from the.
I tend to think it'll be along those lines, if I'm not mistaken.
I would like to think should be
I'm
that
hoping
easy.
it will be almost as easy as that, but the idea is to hire there. I know they hired, I believe it was Langen Consultants.
Okay.
And the two other gentlemen, I believe, who were here, came from there.
Yeah, Nathan. At At Saturday's site walk, I believe that George mentioned that the
What it says.
fire chief has already made inroads with a consultant, or a fire?
That's what I thought I heard.
He did say that.
Yeah.
Okay, now can we find out how that transaction happened?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm
Follow
hoping
that,
we'll find out
follow
on
that lead.
Saturday.
But I mean, if obviously the chief did go through the town.
I don't know.
He may not have known that he was supposed to. I don't know. See, and that's a problem too, because if you go through this stuff and then you're gonna run two risks. You're gonna run a risk of maybe a disgruntled consultant that's gonna file a protest to the state, and I've been through those. Or you're gonna find, or if the board does something outside of the guidelines, you may have someone in town drop a dime, just like they do with open meeting laws. So those are the two risks you run by not doing it appropriately.
Well,
Believe me, this is a very simple process.
Yeah, it seems to be.
You're gonna get a gift, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do it. It's gonna be simpler than the formalized bidding process, and it's gonna be within the confines of 30B, and that's something that we have to recognize.
the chief would be coming in under the town of Carver, so he may have slightly different rules, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
And-
When we first spoke with him a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
He talked about getting this fire safety consultant paid for directly by the developer. And, I haven't heard anything since then that would change that. So I'm not saying what's right or wrong. I'm just saying, can we find out how he did it?
Let's, I can
Well,
call him
tomorrow
tomorrow.
or Saturday, he'll be out at the site.
He'll be out there on the site.
Okay, all right, so we can ask him then.
Yep.
All right,
Pat, are you gonna be there Saturday?
I am.
So can you hook in
Yeah, I'll
when he
talk-
talks to
I'll
the
talk
chief?
Craig, he may not have been aware that this, because none of us were.
Right,
and
exactly.
again, this is secondhand knowledge that we all heard talk from the developers, sort of as an off-the-cuff remark, that the
Right.
chief had already gotten a consultant.
Right.
And,
That's
that
where it's-
may or may not be true.
It may be, it could be that chief has spoken to the consultant that he'd like to.
Yeah.
I know he'd spoken to the consultant from North Andover,
Right.
which is where he was getting a lot of his information from talking to the chief at North Andover, who just finished, I mean, they're doing a project with Hillwood right now for an oversized building.
But just to clarify, and I just checked, I just rechecked the email that I got. That definition of 30B for us is only for the redevelopment
Yeah.
authority.
That's right.
Because it's a recognized entity, okay? And that was the definition only for us. Now, the fire chief is not part of the redevelopment authority,
Okay.
and maybe doesn't have to go through that.
Right.
That's a good question, though.
So,
Okay.
Good.
While we're on that subject, the consultant, I reached out to Sarah Stearns from Beals and Thomas at a conservation site walk a few weeks ago, just about consultant and if that's something that her firm offers, a urban renewal or a redevelopment consultant. They do offer that. She spoke with the management of her company, and they decided that due to the amount of work that they already do with the town, they felt it was not a good idea to help us with this project.
Oh,
So they're concerned a little bit about the fact that they represent other people that come into, for instance, conservation. You know, they do a lot with solar and a lot with
Yep.
things
Yeah,
like
with
that.
planning board, too.
And even though I pointed out to her that the redevelopment authority is separate from the town, Beals and Thomas management felt that it was too close for them to step in. She did give me the name of 2 people that might do this. I have not reached out to them yet. She also suggested that we talk to Bill Napolitano of Serped, who may have,
Oh, yeah, he's been with us for a lot of different
right,
things.
but he may know some people who do the kind of thing that
Right.
we're looking for.
Yeah.
So, Jim, do you have a dialogue with Bill?
I do.
All right, is that something that you can do? Just tell him, you know, that we're looking for a consultant to kind of hold our hand and guide us through this process, just to make sure we don't miss anything. Because we're at the point now where we're sort of getting up against the calendar, and it's summertime, and as I said, I just got these names. I haven't reached out to them yet. I don't know about people's availability.
And then, are they gonna be, is the intent to have someone do similar to what's called peer review, kind of an engineering firm that's gonna look at, the site engineering?
I don't know
drainage,
if
that kind
I
of
don't know
stuff?
if that's the level that we have to go to.
They have to look at everything.
I think it's more of an overview of making sure, I mean, they would look at everything, but someone who comes in and would know the things that we need to look out for, you know, just to make sure that we don't sign something that's gonna come back to bite us. Not necessarily all the innuendos that are on the plans, but just general things that have gone wrong or have been, have caught other towns in a bad situation.
Kinda like, maybe project oversight.
Yes, it's something like that. But just someone who knows more about these things than we do.
Yeah, an urban renewal plan.
You know, specifically for a warehouse.
Yeah,
You know, a
exactly.
distribution warehouse. Because they're a different animal than just urban redevelopment.
Absolutely, yeah.
I did go on a website called the Massachusetts Association of Consulting Planners, and most of the names that I felt there were dealing with housing. So, and the ones that weren't were out in Pittsfield and Springfield. So, and, you know, I think Serped being local may know someone who would help us out. I don't see it as being a large investment of time, but I see it as someone who would become familiar with the project on a lower level, and then say, these are the kinds of things that you need to be aware of. You know, this is what happened in Malden, this is what happened in Natick, et cetera.
Someone had that.
Yeah, so that's kind of what we're looking for. I don't think we need the deep dive to the planning. I'm looking at, you know, the planning board and then Fuss and O'Neill when you have your review.
Yep.
To take care of that on behalf of the town. I think that would be okay. So, at the will of the board, should I reach out to these 2 names and just kind of, all right, I will do that. I'll drop them both a line, telling them what it is I'm looking for, and a proposed timeline, which I suppose would be end of July through August, hopefully. And then you can reach out to Bill
Yep.
and see if he has other names.
And then what are the 2 names you have?
The names I have are Ted Brovitz at Brovitz Community Planning and Design, and an Emily Keys, Keys, at Innes Associates Limited, INNES. Those are the 2 names that were given to me.
And I'll back that up by talking again with North Andover, but I do believe they hired like one entire firm to cover
Everything fire.
water, fire.
Okay.
Although the fire consultant, I think, was an independent that specializes just in
Like,
big
sometimes the bigger
warehouses.
firms will hire a subcontractor.
Right.
to handle
I
everything.
think their idea was one-stop shopping, because all the plans and all the documents that I've been through, they sent me file after file, had their name in it. So if it was talking about conservation, it had their name in it. So it might have been kind of like it's a Boston firm, so
Okay.
they must have been good if they got hired away.
Right. I don't know who filled their empty desks.
I was thinking through, and I was, two that come to mind. So Woodard and Curran is working with the city of Quincy on its whole redevelopment area. And, they seem to have a pretty good team. And then there's another company called BSC Group, which also, it's kind of a more broader engineering firm, but they also have, planning and other aspects that, I think would be helpful to have that breadth of experience, look at what's going on.
Okay.
What I can do is, I'm gonna be out tomorrow, but before I head out, I'll send an email to Bill and see if I get a response, and then copy you all.
I think we also need to know, like, meeting with these individual folks, even if one or two of us go up and interview one or two other people, which would be fine. We don't need to vote on that, but bring them the plan and maybe get an idea of hours. How many hours do you think we should contract with? And just kind of, I don't see it as a day-to-day thing, but I don't know that. But it would mean coming to meetings, meeting with people on site and such. That's what I think it means. But I think we need to start just at least talking to one or two of them.
Right, I see them doing a site visits for
Yeah.
sure. I see them attending a couple of meetings, which is why I was thinking local
Yeah.
would be better. I don't see them attending every meeting. I don't know if they would need to be with, like, planning board meetings or things like that. But again, we're looking for someone who knows more about this than we do.
Right.
So I don't know what their MO would be in
Well,
regard to this.
This is where we will break up into little groups and we will talk to them.
Right, right,
Okay, but we have a place to start. Thank you, Savory.
okay.
So I have a question on that. This agreement, forgot the name, I was trying to look it up. There's a, that they initially, the LLC group signed with the lawyer. It was like 10 pages long. I forgot what it's called. There's a name to it here, and I can't remember the name.
I didn't bring my URP stuff today.
Some kind of an agreement.
The developer agreement?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Between Route 44 and.
Yes,
EA?
so when Hillwood decides they're gonna take it over, is it a P&S they're supposed to be signing pretty soon? Or have they already signed it? Are they gonna be owners? We don't know yet? It's still LLC?
No, George indicated on Saturday that they were still doing their due diligence, still wanted to be sure that the site could hold what they want it to hold. We still have to go through town meeting, and that's in possibly around October.
Okay.
So those would be, George indicated that once those hurdles are cleared, they would go to P&S and they would close by the 1st of next year.
Well, the reason I'm saying, because I remember going through that document carefully, and it had pretty much appraisals. That's pretty all what, we were involved in, money
Yeah.
coming in, going for appraisals. Well, this is gonna be a whole different ballgame.
Mhm.
So we really need to kind of rip it up, rip it all up, throw it out, and use the lawyer, I'm assuming is it Klein, Katie, whatever her name is.
Well, I don't think we
have to
can.
think about that agreement and precisely what we need to have in it for protection.
Right, but they don't have control of the property yet, so they're not an authority to sign
I
anything
realize
yet.
it's not gonna all
Yeah.
happen,
Okay.
but when it does, just rip up the old one. Nobody's gonna copy it, because all it does is have a lot of things about appraisals and totally irrelevant. Totally irrelevant. Just
Okay.
rip it up, throw it out, and have the lawyers, and I think we need to be
We
able
will
to
start on that the
involve.
day after town meeting.
There you
How
go,
about that?
rip it up. We'll stand up, Sharon. And we'll just have a blower
let's
behind
hope.
it and blow the paper away, but, that's, that's gonna be coming fast.
Yep.
And
Oh, yeah.
I guess the question is, Do we need to prep for it? That's all my question is. Do we need to prep for it? You know, you wanna know what you gotta put in it,
Let's,
you know, so we'll see.
I'm going to kick that can down to September 1st,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, we have to give credit to the developers because
Yeah.
they've done this a lot.
Yeah,
So they're gonna know the kinds of things that that belong in that document, but also we're gonna have the consultant that's gonna tell us the
Yeah.
same thing.
There you go, okay.
So-
Again, it's, as Savory says, it's things that we don't have the experience for, and things that we don't know, which.
I guess,
a
is my
consultant-
question gonna still continue to be Katie Klein? She's pretty much very knowledgeable with
Yeah.
land and all kinds of things, 'cause when we had that redevelopment issue, not redevelopment, the project on Wenham Shores, she took over and she created the article the way it should have been created.
If she's one of the land law experts
Yeah.
at Copman and Page, I know there's one or two others
Yeah.
that I've dealt with. I
We
don't see any
started-
reason to change.
We have a relationship with her, so it's always good to, if we can continue, you know, if that's the way to go, I don't know.
Yep,
Well, I think we also have to make sure that because this is RDA and at some point it may be outside of the town, there may be not opposing, but a different path that it has to go through in the town, that there's not a conflict of interest.
oh,
between
good
K-
point, yeah.
Between K and P doing something for the RDA outside of the town and doing something for the town on
Well,
the same project.
she's already billed us for the,
But that was for, that,
But
she's
that's-
working on property being transferred from the town to us.
Right.
This would not be this would be an
Okay.
RDA thing only. All
Okay.
I'm saying is that we have to make sure there is no conflict of interest
Yeah.
if we are to use her.
okay,
And I think that's a question for K and P. You know, if they think that,
Right.
that it might be, you know, for the same reason that Beals and Thomas said no.
yeah, that could
You
be
know,
too.
Yeah.
It's just that it's too
Yeah.
close.
That's a good
Yep,
point.
yep.
And I suspect that if we posed a question to them, or posed a situation to them that might need representation, if it conflicted with their role as the town, they would be quick to turn
Or
it
could be
down.
perceived to.
Oh, exactly, yeah, we don't want either,
Doesn't necessarily have to.
Have to be.
But could be
as long as there isn't
perceived
the
to.
perception.
Right. I just have one other thing on urban renewal, and I want to circle back to what we were talking about as far as publicizing, you know, doing drones and commercials. One of the things that we spoke about out there was, we talked at length about the, having the town meeting in October or November or
Okay,
wherever it
whatever,
is.
yeah.
And what we pretty much said is we want to come up with, we want to make sure that the residents of Carver are fully aware of this project and through as many media channels as possible
Okay,
before they walk through the doors of the high school.
okay,
We don't want every single question of every single person to be brought up at town meeting. Because first of all, we'll be there all night, and then once that starts happening, people start questioning it more, and they're not really sure what they hear. So you know, I think that we talked about on Saturday out there was using everything available to us, the Carver Reporter, using the local Facebook pages, even if it's just to post a meeting or post some kind of information about it.
should we create a URP Facebook page?
I don't know if we need to do that, we might, but one of the things that we spoke about briefly, Jim, on Saturday was putting a URP page on the Carver Town website
Oh,
that you could get to.
okay, well, this probably doesn't get as much notice as the Carver, helping Carver or whatever that goes.
What
I wouldn't know, so.
What tends to happen here, and I think, and Catherine, maybe you can even add something to this. It seems to me that what happens in town is that things that get into the newspaper, one or two people post them on the Carver pages, and then that's when the discussion starts.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
so if we keep everything in, you know, in the newspaper, if we have some kind of an update every other week of something, even as a small decision,
That's true.
it gets it out there and gets people starting to talk about it. And then if we could have a town website that we direct people to, go to this page, and have an availability for people to ask questions on that webpage, so that we can start and maintain an FAQ page.
So you're talking about a web page, not a Facebook page?
I'm talking about a webpage on the town.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Because-
Oh, we
Other
talked
than,
to
other
Rick.
than the Carver redevelopment
Do we
link?
have people, who takes care of that, the school?
No.
Who builds the pages?
They have to have a company, right?
It's,
Do we have somebody?
it's a,
Catherine, do you
the
know?
pages are already kind of created, and then you have to add information, you know, usually it's town employees adding the information, or
No, but they,
anytime there's an announcement, it's put on, but it's a template that's already on the system.
so we should go boop, redevelopment, we should have that new add-in that you had, URP, whatever, because we already have a redevelopment. You can go right there, look at that, tells you about the minutes and all kinds of stuff, and it also tells you when the next meeting is. So we're there, but we need to have another piece
We
that
need to
takes
have-
them.
We need to have something going to the
We
Montello
need,
Street
we need.
project.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
we probably need a link of
The
some
link to
kind
the
that'll
Montello
take you
Street project, which we have.
directly, because some of the docs and things are outdated now,
Right.
on our
So
webpage.
you know what? I got an idea. Is Deb Deneen in tomorrow, do you know?
No, she's not in.
Okay. There's a girl in her office that's part-time, she's real good with the web, and she works a lot with the pages and the whole thing. I was wondering if we could just run something by her. I like your idea, though.
Mhm.
We're already there, just to see if we can have it
Right,
with the
so,
link.
one comment I have is that, we did we're doing the Complete Streets project. Serpide was the contractor, for the town, and they created a Complete Streets webpage to direct people to get information about it. It could be something where, if the board wanted, I could contact Serpide to see if they might be interested in kind of creating something like that.
Oh, okay.
And maybe even helping with, the kind of public outreach aspect of it.
That would be great.
That'd be great, because they know how to write. They do.
And they, that, their whole thing is creating public outreach opportunities.
Absolutely,
Using the
absolutely.
web,
Good
doing
idea,
different
Jeff.
surveys.
Good idea.
I could, talk to them about that and then see if that's something they'd be interested in.
So when you talk to Bill, you can throw that in as an aside.
Mm-hmm, yep.
Right. Well, we want to, that's a good idea, but we want to make sure that they understand that all this information has to be not only transparent, but coming from Carver.
Yeah, accessible, so that if they asked a question, somebody from this board answers the question.
Or gets the answer for
Or
them, yes.
gets the answer for them.
Yeah, but I think what we should be working towards is a rather substantial FAQ page.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some questions that we can add to that right away, that we know the answers to,
Yep.
the basics. And then
Yep.
as people ask more questions, obviously there are gonna be some that aren't legitimate questions.
Yeah.
Like who's going there?
Yeah.
And the answer is we don't know.
Right.
But I'm sure there are other people that will have questions. So there are going to be questions about traffic and questions about size and questions about jobs.
I've already seen a question on traffic with
Yep.
the Carver site.
I think that's, the traffic is probably the single biggest issue in question I think people have.
I believe.
And to get the facts out as we come to know them, I mean, is probably our best weapon.
I think we need to, probably quickly, Bob Delhome, but that MIPA study would have, I don't know if they have diagrams or anything, but that MIPA study tells you all about the traffic and where and what they're going to do.
It's an onerous document to
It is.
go through for
Yeah.
someone who clicks on the RDA page and sees, oh, the MIPA study, that's where I found out traffic. It's just, to the uninitiated or someone who doesn't read this kind of document, it's a tough thing to go through.
So
without-
that's when Serpide could help us,
Well-
because they could interact help us to do that, just what you're saying.
Right.
Cut it back, make it an FAQ.
Well, make it readable.
Yeah,
Break it down and make it
exactly.
readable.
Because that's really, I've seen several times on the Carver site, I've been there 15 minutes and I can't even get out, blah, 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 and da, 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 you know, and that's a big issue.
And
Well, they
I think
see.
it will be.
It will be, yes, it will be.
But there's numbers flying out around the number of trucks that's going to be coming in and out of there. But truth is, we don't know yet.
Yeah. But one thing we're gonna tell them, they're not going through the town. We got
Well,
that in
we
writing.
got that,
from
yeah.
That man that was sitting there, they're not gonna go through your town.
Yep.
Well, that's gonna be one of the FAQs.
That's
and
it.
That's
That's it.
a good answer
That's
to
a
have.
settled
But,
one.
you know, the whole intent is to get people talking about this between now and town meeting.
Absolutely.
Not at town meeting.
Right.
And if they have questions
We'll
or
be there till 11
concerns,
o'clock
to
at
find a
night.
place to get
It'll
the
be just-
answers.
It'll defeat everything
Yeah.
when people get going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's all I got on urban renewal. Oh,
That-
just, sorry, one more thing. Just, another, we were talking earlier about how they were able to describe where the buildings were gonna go. We were on the highest point
Yep.
of land in the middle of it, which you'll both see on Saturday. And we did a 180 or 360 look around, and you could see one house,
Yep.
and it was in Middleborough. So,
Way in
about
Middleborough.
about
I'm
a-
glad it's not
Beyond the
Plimpton.
landfill.
beyond
On the
land.
other side of the landfill.
so
which we
Beyond
got-
the landfill?
Yeah.
It was on the other
Over
side. You could
mile
see a little
away.
bit of a
That was
roof.
the only house you could see
See.
from the highest point on that
Oh,
property.
wow.
So, I mean, that's another FAQ. How, what
Yeah.
houses are gonna be able to see it? Well, unless you live in that one house in Middleborough.
You're not gonna
you're
see
not gonna
it.
see it.
And I think also to spread a little bit more the good work that they did, because some people may remember the only thing about the URP was 2 years ago when, the eminent domain was a big talking point. And now, if that was the last talking point you remembered, then they should know that they came to an agreement, a very generous agreement with everyone who was around there. Everybody went away happy.
Well, again, that's an FAQ.
And that's
that can be added.
and that's information that should get out.
I would interview the Tushers, they were the last ones.
Yeah.
Well, no, you put it out as an FAQ.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
added
yeah.
as an
Yeah.
FAQ. Was eminent domain used to procure all the property?
No.
No, it
None.
wasn't. So, that
Not
answers
a
that question.
square-
that
not a
people had for
square
years.
inch.
14, 15 properties they acquired, all
Yeah.
private transactions.
Yeah.
All probably above market.
Yep,
Yeah, and they helped them moving too.
help them move, yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, anything else, Pat? Joanna?
Good.
Jim, do you have
I
anything?
think I said enough.
All right, we'll move on to bills payable. We have,
I only see 2 invoices in my package.
yep, that was
They're
it.
both for Susan Hannon.
Yep,
There's plenty of money in the account. I don't have
Okay.
a treasurer's report, unfortunately.
okay.
Um,
I saw this invoice from KP Law, I don't know if that was from the department.
Well, the one we approved the last time, there was a 487.50. I think this was from the last time, right? She put a cover letter on top of this. I don't have the
I
other
think
one.
in our minutes, it stated that she sent an invoice for June and for.
Yeah, there was
for May
another
and
one to
for
come.
June, and asked the question if we wanted to pay two invoices or one combined, and
Well,
it said.
she's already paid this already, and it
So
was
that-
all for May.
Okay.
May.
That must be a straight piece of paper, because
I thought
This packet
the invoice we had was
has-
like 565.
It just has those in that invoice. Was this supposed to be in our packet?
I don't know, I somehow got in with the paperwork I had, but looking at this packet that I printed off,
Keep that.
it only has the 2 Susan invoices.
Yeah, that's all mine. I can call it. Oh, she's not gonna be there.
All right.
Okay, well, we'll straighten that one out.
And Ms. Hannon has taken over doing the minutes from
Yeah, that was, so what she did, I believe, the one that I had so much opposition to.
Right.
She went and looked at the video, and she rewrote it,
Right,
yep. And-
but we don't have video of the executive session.
Excuse me?
We don't have video of the executive session.
No.
They don't tape those.
No.
So
Was that in
she
here?
was not able to rewrite to review the executive session minutes.
All right,
And
so
that's
we
probably
should
the most-
reread the executive session.
Reread the
meetings that we
executive
had and make
session minutes.
corrections.
Make corrections.
Okay.
So if
we don't
can
have to
just-
do that tonight.
Let's not approve it, let's
I
wait
think
till
we-
next time and approve it, because I didn't read that piece.
Okay.
Actually, there's nothing to it.
Did you proof the meeting, the meeting minutes from the 3rd?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay,
Well, we have April 6th and June 3rd, right?
yeah. June 3rd, she was not here, and she did them from the tape.
Do we have to vote on the bills payable? We don't, right?
No, we don't.
Okay. On the April 6th minutes, on page 4, right smack in the middle of the page, there's a sentence that says, "That was a smaller percentage of the PSAF." That should be PFAS.
PFAS is PFAS?
PFAS.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah,
She
right in the
reversed
middle on
it.
the left-hand side of the page.
Okay,
Just
so
the
that should be-
initials are juxtaposed.
Well, it's so crowded, I can't even say. Who
Yeah,
said
it's
that?
down, it's about halfway down on the left-hand side.
Oh, P, I got it right here.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
should
the
be-
first mention is.
The
right
first
one.
one's
Yeah, the
okay.
others are, the
Yeah.
other mentions are right. This is just one that's incorrect, but that's, other than that, I saw.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of April 6, 2021 as amended.
Second.
all in favor, say aye. Aye. Unanimous, unanimous. Minutes for June 3rd.
I didn't see anything wrong with these.
I didn't either.
I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes for June 3rd, 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. And we will table the executive session minutes of October, please. April 6th, one more time, for review and correction.
I'm just wondering if she rewrote what was there. It's very small, it's less than a paragraph.
She told me she did not do them.
She did not, okay, I understand that. So we need to pull the that's another piece.
That's a
So-
separate piece, but we can only look at what was written and submitted.
Right, so, Jim, should we have that not in our packet for next time?
Yeah, we'll have it in our packet for next time.
Okay,
So you want the.
Executive session from April 6th.
as written originally by
Original.
whomever.
I probably have a copy on my, I'll make sure.
I don't know.
I'll dig back and find it.
Next meeting / meetings,
Well,
or members' comments.
members' comments.
I have nothing.
I'm in July. We're having one on the 15th and the 29th?
Those were proposed dates.
Oh, okay, I wrote them down.
Um,
I thought they were good. They were Thursday meetings. Are you around?
No.
No,
So
Not-
come
not the
all of
15th.
July and all of August?
No, I'm not here the 15th.
15th.
Oh,
I'm around the 29th.
oh, okay. Well, we need to have you.
Well,
this
Once
room-
September comes, though, it's gonna be tough for me to make
we'll
Thursday.
just move the date.
Yeah, that's why we went to Tuesdays when I joined.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So
We'll deal with that.
he
in
can't
August.
be here on the 15th, but, our meetings are important.
So what are you saying?
So we can't lose anybody. I don't think Paul's back, is he?
No,
He is-
Paul will
he's
be back,
He's
yeah.
back on the 4th, I thought.
Yeah,
right? coming
he's back
on the
on-
4th.
Oh,
But do we have a meeting?
you have to have a clearance for this room.
We can also meet downstairs.
Right, because you're not using Zoom anymore, right?
We're not using Zoom anymore, and
Area 58 can film down there now, so.
they can, okay, then we're
They
good.
can Zoom down there?
Oh, they can film down there.
Oh, not Zoom.
I'm sorry, I said the wrong thing. The Area 58 can videotape down.
They can film down there now.
Anybody else using that room?
I think planning board was down there on Tuesday when zoning board was up here.
Yep.
A Tuesday at the planning board?
Tuesday, planning board meets Tuesday.
Well, we can't move the 15th to Tuesday. That's-
Can I just toss out one thing? If the select board, if we have all our ducks in order by July 6th, then we can do a quick joint meeting. Are you out by then? Savory?
I think I'm available the 6th. I'll be in Maine, but I'm coming back
Oh,
the 5th.
so we would do a joint meeting on the 6th.
I'd have to see if they need a joint meeting, because
makes
they're gonna
good
sign
sense.
it, but it's gonna be, at least somebody should be
We
present.
get all the names, signatures, and
Yep.
everything would be done.
Yep, that would be on the deed, so
Yeah,
that would be,
great. Then they could record.
that would be me. I have this to record for the RDA, so I'll just shoot down there and take care of that. I
Yeah,
think that's $175.
So on the 6th is Savory, are you available?
I believe so.
Okay. You have to talk to Paul, he'll be back.
Pat,
6th? Yeah.
And that would be joint with the,
It's a joint meeting on the 6th.
it would be a joint meeting to present a quick presentation of the timeline of what because there should not be a question among select board members that this property does not belong to us. They cannot take it back. So we'll just make sure we have everything that we need to present. And if we can have a draft or at least a copy of the deed and the MOU by that time, so we have our work cut out for us next week.
It's in my mind, I think I just have to regurgitate and ask you this.
Okay.
The taxes that were on this PNS, we're going to not use that? You're gonna try to talk to Katie?
I'll ask her. First, I'll get an
Well, that's not the way we did it before. Maybe she wants to do it differently, I have no idea. We just didn't do it that way before?
I'll look at the MOU again, but we had different, I wasn't here, so we had different people, I assume, real estate agents who
Yeah, no,
were,
Brenda Titus.
that's a real estate agent.
Well, yeah, you said different.
Well, we used for the different properties. There was a
Every
real estate-
property we had, she's the one.
There was a
that
seller.
did the sell. Even the Ben Ellis.
Okay. I will double check, we'll check on the assessment, but I believe the way it was broken down is that from the proceeds of the sale, we give back to the town what they expended in the tax title.
That's how we did it.
Those are the taxes owed, and I believe the number was 48,000. The RDA gets 10% off the
That
top,
comes off the top.
so we get that.
And-
And then there's like 2 buckets.
And then all our expenses are
And
separate.
our expenses are separate,
So
so,
that comes off too.
Yep.
So the bottom line, whatever it is, checks, we made a check out, RDA made a check
well, there'd
out.
probably be one going to
Town
the
of
tax
Carver.
assessor and,
We made it out to the
That's-
town of Carver.
okay,
The taxes, we made out a check to the town of Carver,
okay,
separate check for taxes.
okay,
And the residual, whatever was left, 10% plus the, we deducted all that, whatever was left, we just made out a check and presented it that night to the select board.
Okay.
So it'd go into the general fund.
Okay.
I mean, we turned over way over $500,000, way over.
okay.
the intent on the 6th with the select board is just to have them sign?
Have them sign the deed.
So do we really need a,
I don't think we need a meeting.
Joint
I
meeting.
don't think it'll need to be a joint meeting. I think we need representation.
do we need everybody?
No, don't hurry back from me.
No, I'm just thinking that
All our
that's
names,
like overkill.
won't our names have to be on that?
No.
We can leave it, there's a space for them on
Right.
other deeds.
But we don't have to sign them in their presence.
No, it's not, I don't believe it's even notarized.
Well, wait a
I'll
minute,
check.
we changed that. In our reorg, we made it so that the chairman and the vice chairman were the power to to sign.
Yep,
That means that we all don't have to sign.
right. And I wanted it that way, and that's the same for the PNS.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think as long as we have 1 or 2 people here to represent to the select board, if they have any questions as to why
Answer
this,
questions, that's it.
we can, and I can present the paper trail.
Okay.
So we don't need a meeting on July 6th,
Oh, we don't, okay.
no, but everyone will be notified of it. And that's getting all the paperwork done in like 10 days. So our next meeting, and I think we can give Savory a day off, just to touch base on anything. Where am I here?
July 15th.
Is everyone good with July 15th? I'm away the following week.
No, the 15th, Savory can't come.
Savory can't
I'm
come.
getting a day off.
He's getting a day off.
Well,
He's
I don't think
entertaining.
You should have a day off.
Get a day off for good
Let's go
behavior.
work, 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 work. I'm fine on the 15th, the RDA. I just want to know
Okay.
what room I'm going to.
I will let you know. All right, we'll make our next meeting on July 15th, 6 o'clock. Room space to be determined.
Okay.
And I'll get that message
The
to,
next one on the 29th, the Savory, you good on that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, and we'll get that information out to Route 44 as well, to see if they have anybody. And then we have the site walk this Saturday,
Right.
right? Jim, are you coming to that one too? No? Okay.
In Syracuse.
Oh, okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you and good night.